gonna start giving us some water one day. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the Neighborhood Improvement Services Advisory Committee to order. I would also like to thank our viewing audience for tuning in. I would like to ask Ms. Paula to lead us in invocation.
Let's bow our head. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings and mercies that you've given to us, because we're not deserving of them, but we thank you for them anyway. Dear Lord, we want you to bless this country, bless this community, and bless our children who have gone back to school, and a lot of them with a lot of turmoil just today, the first day of school. But dear Lord, we know that you got us all covered. So God, I ask you to give us what we need to make choices and decisions and suggestions that might help our community, help the community of Jacksonville grow to the betterment of our citizens, for the betterment of our citizens. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. I'd like to say welcome everyone, and at this time we'll go around the table and introduce our staff and members.
Brian Jackson, Council Liaison.
Gloria Whitney, member. Dr. Sandra Bryan, new member.
Pamela Athens, Senior Neighborhood Improvement Services Advisory Committee.
Tracy Jackson, Director of Neighborhood Improvement Services.
Paula Jones, member.
Marsha Wright, member.
And I am Will Smith, Chair. Thank you so much for that. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda? Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as written.
Second, okay. There's been a motion and the motion is carried. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion is carried. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll have Mr. Brian Jackson.
All right. At this time, we are going to have our reappointment and our appointment ceremony. For our appointments today, we have Dr. Sandra Bragg. If you would please stand so Councilman Jackson may pin you.
How about you want me to pin you? You let me know before we pin you. You know, I just got my eyes dilated.
Right here.
Okay, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Welcome you to the Neighborhood Improvement Committee.
Dr. Bragg's appointment will expire June 2025. And for reappointment for acknowledgement, we have Mr. Will Smith. Reappointment expires June 24th. Raise your hand.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Gloria Whitney, reappointment expires June 24th. Raise your
I
hand.
should be on my way.
Ms. Marsha Wright, reappointment, June 2024 expiration. Ms. Paula Jones, reappointment, expires June 2025. That concludes our appointment.
Glad that
Dr. Bragg, welcome and thank you for being part of our committee.
So next we have up is our elections.
Okay. The city ordinance regulating advisory committee members requires the election of a chairman and vice chairman each year. The chairman and vice chairman may serve 2 consecutive one-year terms. At this time, the floor is open for nominations, and you may self-nominate. We will begin with the vice chairman upon nominations, okay? Anyone want to nominate a vice chairman? Or you can self-nominate. Okay, it looks like I'll nominate as the vice chairperson, Ms. Paula Jones.
I'll second that nomination.
Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, so at this time, what we'll do, we have a section. Are there any discussions? All in favor of that nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so thank you very much. So we have a new vice chairperson. And at this time, we'll do the same thing for the chairperson. Do we have any nominations? Or you can self-nominate.
Nominate and reappoint the current chair.
That sounds good.
And I think I've already had my
Have you had your two
2
terms?
consecutive.
Oh,
A term is
1 year.
just 1 year. Why did I think a term was 2 years?
Well,
All right, so, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll nominate Ms. Marsha Wright.
I'll have to decline.
Have to decline, okay?
I nominate Miss Gloria.
And I was
I
gonna say they
decline.
they don't
Already
have to
done
be
that
present
once.
either, right?
T-shirt to prove.
Say again.
I want to think that I did.
trial by
too. I
fire.
just can't remember.
Trial by fire, Dr. Brett.
Otherwise, they have to decline. They don't have a right to decline like they do.
Had I not done this before?
You were with me. Well, but
I couldn't remember.
Right now, if we don't have any nominations and we don't have anyone to volunteer, we still need to move forward. And we can table this until we can do this.
Okay, so can I make the motion to table this until a future meeting?
second motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That motion is tabled, so we will put this as an agenda item on our next meeting, the election for the chairman.
Now, Mr. Chair, I have a point of clarification. I only made a motion to nominate her for vice chair. And that was passed. So she is a nomination, she has not been elected. So do
Okay,
you want to table that as well?
yes, we'll table all that.
Okay, that's in the minute.
I think I've been
Yeah.
this before.
Okay,
I think I was vice chair before.
yes, ma'am.
So that means you're ready
But she's
for
gonna,
the chair, right? Go back and check it to make sure, right?
Yes, ma'am. So we'll table all the elections. So,
So you're ready for the chair, right?
okay. All right, the minutes provided for April 24th and June 24th has been provided for your review. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes? Are there any changes or additions? If no changes or additions, is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Motion is carried, and I'll sign those minutes. Thank you very much. We don't have an update. Do we have an update to the planning board? Planning board update?
He's not here.
He's not here. Okay, so at this time, we'll go to the neighborhood incentive by Ms. Pamela Trafton.
Good evening, how's everyone doing? Tonight I want to do an introduction to the Jacksonville Youth Council. We are officially starting on September 6th with our first meeting of the school year. And this is a great opportunity to introduce, explain who the Jacksonville Youth Council is. As we are 3 years removed from COVID kind of hindering some processes, and now we are back in person. And so I want to bring a refresher of what the Jacksonville Youth Council is, what they do, and who we are. So the Jacksonville Youth Council is focused with high school students who ask to have a voice in local government. It started in October 1998, where they attended a youth community summit with then Mayor George Jones. And at that meeting, they specifically stated that they wanted to have a voice in the community, be able to put what concerns that the youth had. And from there, the concept of Jacksonville Youth Council was born. We are actually celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. From the Youth Council, they are practicing governance, learning how to actually run meetings, just like City Council and Mayor host their meetings. The Jacksonville Youth Council does as such. We volunteer, help charities, learn about the community and what needs are there, serve the community, create the opportunities for high school students to be involved. Also gives an opportunity to teach leadership development and also connect with youth from other high schools. This year, we are opening to 8th graders as well, because we identified that 8th grade students need to go ahead and get that introduction to the Youth Council. So when they become high school students, they're already aware, and if they want to run for an office, they'll be able to do so as a high school student. So this is just to give you a visual of what we've done and what each bullet point previously talked about. So our practicing governance, we have officers, we have chairperson, vice chair, secretary, recorder, and then we have school representatives. Those that have been elected will actually get sworn in by the mayor to run the official meetings. Help charities, we do on days that they're out of school, or if it's early release days, holidays. We volunteered at the soup kitchen. We've also have volunteered at nursing homes and played bingo. So we do a day of service. And then at the soup kitchen, they was actually able to serve. Serving the community through our community development week. This was an opportunity that we were able to clean an elderly person's yard during spring break. In representing youth in the community, we participate in the observance ceremony. This specific one is Freedom Fountain, where our chairperson was actually represented with the recommitment ceremony. One that we have upcoming is our Patriot Day ceremony, where our youth participate in leading the youth prayer. They also do the Pledge of Allegiance, and they participate in the tableaus, where the tableaus represent someone that has passed from the 9/11. Advocacy takes place in our youth summit. Our Mayor Youth Summit takes place in the spring, usually in January or February. This is another opportunity where we invite guest speakers to come out and talk about topics that are normally not taught in school, but it's an opportunity to have that everyday conversation with topics that, again, normally are not discussed. Our Harmony, I'm excited to say that Harmony is coming back. Harmony stands for Helping All Reach More Options Through New Youth Givers, which means that they learn how to become philanthropists. We have a partnership with Leading to Change, and in that partnership, they teach about how to use your time, talent, and treasures and giving back to other youth organizations. The Harmony board members, they will actually go through a process, learn how to do the application, submit the application to other youth organizations who want to apply and host an event or host a program, and they need funds to be able to utilize, to be able to hold that event. The Harmony board members go through an interview process with the organizations, just like our nonprofits do on our CDBG side and our general fund side. So they do a full-fledged grant giving process. And then at the end, this is our ceremony where we award the different agencies. And the great thing about it is the youth are the ones that decide who receives the funds, and they have to do the interview with the youth of those organizations as well. So it's a great learning opportunity. And if you ever want to see teens debate, just like you see adults debate on who receive funds, definitely become part of Harmony. because they really put the teeth to it when it comes to who gets money and who doesn't get money. And so this is lets you know that our youth council meetings are the first Wednesdays of every month. We start again September 6th. They're meeting at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. And it is open to all 8th grade through 12th grade students in Onslow County and Camp Lejeune. They can sign up through jacksonvillennc.gov/JYC, or they can contact me at 910-938-6551. And that is our Jacksonville Youth Council. Any questions before I go forward?
No, ma'am.
Our demolition, we have completed 165. This is the latest one that we've completed. It's the finished product. We have 3 more that are currently in the pipeline, including some commercial demolitions that have taken place, that will take place as well. Our nonprofit executive director meetup, the next meeting is Thursday, September 21st from 11 to 1 at Center for Public Safety. This is open to executive directors only, and registration is open now at jacksonvillennc.gov/nonprofit. With our upcoming classes, we have 2 remaining for our homebuyers education course, September 16th and November 4th. These classes are $25 per person on Saturdays from 8 to 5. You may register by calling us at 910-938-5286. And when we last met in June, this property, 429 Myrtle Wood, the interior unit with the blue siding, that one was available for sale. I'm proud to announce that that one has closed as of August 16th.
Congratulations.
So all 5 units that we had available in Country Club Villas are now occupied by brand new homeowners. And then our last class that we have is money management, which the last class for this year is October the 7th. And that one is a Saturday from 9 to 12. We had another class that we talked about in June, which was Mastering Your Money Psychology, which took place in August. That one is a new class that we're gonna offer into the new year as well. It was a twist of what we've been doing in the past, just talking about credit and talking about budget, where we actually started with learning the psychology behind money and how to actually, what are your thoughts to spending money before you spend it or before you actually do the budget with. And that one is a class that we're gonna continue to keep forth with. All right, and that concludes neighborhood initiatives.
I got one quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
You anticipate doing or being able to do any more work in Myrtle Wood?
If one becomes available, we won't turn it down potentially.
Do you anticipate that you'll have an opportunity to, or just depends on,
Yeah, it just depends on what becomes available. If anybody knows one that is, the homeowner is looking to sell.
oh, I see, because those are all owned by somebody.
Right, we purchased.
Who probably does not live there, but they bought it for.
Right, they were all individually purchased. We purchased the ones that was the burned units or the worst of the worst. If you haven't been through Country Club Villas in a while, definitely take a drive through, because a lot of the units, the homeowners have actually started doing their own renovations.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely a difference than where we started the process about 3 years ago. So it has definitely taken a different turn for the good.
That was good.
One question too, did they get the dumpster situation settled? With the trash cans out there that was right up in the middle?
So we are in the finalization of producing some construction specs so that we can build a home for those,
Trash cans.
for the trash cans. And the trash cans right now, they're strategically placed. It
Right.
may be some instances where they're gonna be putting them in the right of way or in the area where they don't have any amenities such as the mailboxes or anything like that. So in clear grassy places, that's where we're planning on putting the concrete pad to give them a permanent home so that they won't be all over the place.
All over the place when they have storms and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes,
Looks
engineer Nick Lanier, he helped us develop a nice plan so that we can go in there and start doing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
At this time, we have Community Development, Ms. Tracy Jackson.
So I wanted to bring forth to the community just a refresher for some and for Dr. Bragg, she is new on the committee. Wanted to talk about housing income and affordability. We all know that, there's a difference in those definitions and those concepts. So one of the things that we wanted to make you aware of is economic mobility. And economic mobility refers to people's ability to improve their economic status over the course of their lifetime. So the question was posed, can a homeless person achieve home ownership? The answer is yes. It can be done. It can happen for them. And here's why. When we define housing affordability, we say that a rule of thumb that housing related expenses should not equal more than 30% of your monthly income. So that means that it includes the rent, mortgage, utilities, insurance, and taxes. Affordable housing in HUD's definition is safe, decent housing and affordable for low-income households. There's a difference. So what that means is if your annual household income is $14,800 and you've tried to figure out the 30% rules for that, that's only $370 that you're supposed to be paying in rent. If you have a total household income of $40,000, you're not supposed to be paying more than $1,000 a month. That's 30% of your monthly income. What do we have here in Jacksonville? Our income and poverty in Jacksonville, based on the Census Bureau, includes that 16.3% of the population live in poverty. If the population is 70,000, a little bit over 70,000 folks here, that means that 11,478 people live in poverty and they earn at least $21,000 or less. The Jacksonville area median income is $47,483. So what that means is we have a strong middle class. We don't have a lot of wealthy people here in Jacksonville, if that is our medium income. That's where our medium income stands right there. So the average household income in 2021 is $24,879. That's the average. That's what's here in Jacksonville as far as income and poverty folks. So the types of income that people would make, of course, is they get Social Security, minimum wage, 30% of the area median income, 50%, and then your average renter. If someone makes SSI and their income is only $10,698 per year, that means that they can only afford $274 in rent. And going on down the list. Minimum wage is $15,000. They can only afford $377. And of course, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. That's what North Carolina stands right now. So our average renter would make about $46,000. They shouldn't be paying no more than $1,100, a little bit over $1,100 in rent. But we know that's not the case. So a one bedroom in the housing market here in Jacksonville rents for $798. That's for a one bedroom.
Oh, man.
That means that the income to sustain that has to be $31,920. Remember, here's the SSI folks. Nowhere near $31,000. Here are the minimum wage folks. Here are the people that make a little bit more than minimum wage
30%.
and a little bit more than
The 30%.
the 30%. Okay, so that's where it starts with the 50% AMI. A 2-bedroom, 951, and so on. That's the Jacksonville housing market that we have right now. So the annual action plan, when I go out and I ask folks, how do we spend this money? We know that affordable housing is going to be at the top of everyone's list. We need to do affordable housing with that money. And we have allocated $120,000. I can go up to $150,000 without amending my plan based on the Citizens Participation Plan for 2022-23 and 23-24. Those are already in the plans. So solutions can include general funds, city-owned land, CDBG funds through the city, grant funds through partnerships. I don't know if you all are aware that we just submitted an application with East Carolina Community Development Corporation. We just submitted an application so that they can get some SHARP money and some NCORE money to bring some affordable housing, homeless housing units in the Phoenix Park area. So he's going to be bringing about 24 units of those homeless units to that Phoenix Park.
And what does that mean, homeless units?
So those are folks who are transitioning out of the homeless shelters that still are having challenges. They may have some income, but they're still having challenges meeting and finding rentals based on what's here in Jacksonville.
So how long would that transition be? Is there a time frame for the folks that's in those transitional units to be there?
Usually when you have transitional units,
Short
they
term.
have about 3 years, 36 months, because it has to be realistic
Right.
on those folks. So I asked the question in the beginning, can someone that's coming out of a homeless shelter end up purchasing a home? And the answer is yes. They have to go through the process as far as getting themselves stable housing, finding what barriers they hold as far as their credit report, and whether or not they just need to earn some more income. And then they'll be able to get into a situation where they can either use USDA or use our housing programs to purchase their house.
I can't remember, would they be case managed?
Yes,
My question.
yes, will be case managed. Yes.
Exceptions to local ordinance. Can you give me an example? Would that be like,
That's if, let's say that we have because of our regular ordinance, it may be something that, and I think this happened in Town Center, where something in the current ordinance prevent you to produce those units. And it's saying that you cannot put any units here because of this ordinance. So it may be an exception to that ordinance that can be granted.
but anything can be changed or
Anything could be brought to the city to be changed.
to be changed?
Okay.
Case by case.
Case by case. Yes,
So if
ma'am.
you owned your own property, that would be an exception, possibly, if a person owned their own.
If it's not commercial.
Mhm.
Is that right, Tracy?
So what are you saying? If you own your own property and you want to turn it into some affordable housing? So if,
It says affordable housing solutions, so I was just kind of stretching it a minute.
So if you got your own and you want to turn it into affordable rentals, you can, take your property, rehab it, and then you contact East Carolina and say, hey, we want to put this into the inventory for, Section 8 so it can be affordable.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out how feasible would it be, because you're talking within a 3-year period. that person who came out of the homeless shelter, like around the corner, would have to be ready to go into homeownership?
It can be done, and what I did was I shared with council that if you had a person that, let's say that they come out of a domestic violence situation, they have some income and she's been working, but she had to go into the homeless shelter, of course, to escape. Once she got on her feet and we got her stable, safe housing, then she can move her mindset to where I think everything is going to be okay, and now I'm ready for homeownership. She may find that she needs some more education and some training so that she can increase her income, but any gaps, she will know, she'll be educated and she'll know how to fill any gaps that's going to prevent her from becoming a homeowner. She may have to go into another apartment to save some money, but the goal is for her to be a homeowner. So once she decides that I am ready, I have saved some money, I have made some money, and I am ready to get into the home ownership, then she go apply for a home, and there are programs out there that will help her, especially with the programs that we have here with the city and the partnerships that we have with North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. So there are some opportunities for those folks who go through the process and they're staying the course and they want to be a homeowner to finally be a homeowner.
Now, when you, because I guess I see big, huge gaps being, that there are people who are living in their cars and going to work every day. They show up, we go and we do business with them, and they're right behind the counter, or they're working wherever they are, and when they leave and close up at 5 o'clock, they're not going back to a home, they're going to a car.
Right.
Or something like this. And it's not because they can't pay rent. It's because they can't accumulate the amount of money it takes to get into the apartment. You'd have to have your hands on somewhere between $3,500 and $5,000 to get into an apartment here. So if she's coming out of a shelter, where is that money coming from?
So there are programs for them to do rapid rehousing. So we have partnered with some nonprofits that could help them get into, just to start. Because our money is limited on continuing on. So we can just start and get them into housing, that rapid rehousing component of coming out of the shelter. And then she will still need to be able to maintain and pay that rent.
Yeah.
So yes, ma'am. There are programs out there for that.
Because that was a good scale I think you showed a minute ago about the relationship between the pay scales and what rent is. Because like I said, it's not that people don't want to do this and don't want to own. It's just, and programs that we have available to us, you got to start somewhere. I absolutely know that. But in a county of what was on the census, 190,000 people here, we'd be talking about the same conversation in the year 3023, just to deal with the population we currently have. Forget about population growth.
Yeah.
So I think, I guess I would think, that we have to put goals and things like that down, is that we are really going to have to think completely out of the box. Because the regular, routine, traditional way of getting people from a shelter, or not even a shelter, but from the basics to actual home ownership is not going to happen through the system. The problem of home ownership is that those people in the middle class, those young people who are, my children are in a generation where the likelihood of them owning their own home is becoming slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. And they're both college educated, degrees, good jobs, and it's still out of their reach. So how in the world are we going to be able to repopulate a person who has literally gone onto the curb?
Yeah, you have to build them, they have to
those,
build, and the same way with your children, they have to build themselves to where they can get there and see what programs that they qualify for. I know it may not be a lot of programs that they qualify as far as income-based programs, but it may be just the starter homes. They may have to just get it out of their head, not to get the same kind of house that mom and dad got, but they may have to get that town home. Just
But
like
the
we just refurbished with Country Club Dealers. Those are townhomes. They're renovated from the studs all the way to the roof. So that may be an opportunity for them to see that, because I know they're going to start, builders are more attractive. They're gonna start building those types of affordable housing.
Mhm. And that's, I guess, what I'm saying, because as I think about when I asked you before about Myrtlewood,
Country Club
if all of
Dealers.
those,
Country
or
Club
Country Club
Dealers.
Dealers,
Yeah.
if they are all individually owned,
Mhm.
and the owner sees the opportunity to renovate and sell their home through you all, that's a blessing.
Yes.
What I'm seeing, especially living down here downtown, is that people see an opportunity to turn a house that should not cost any more than the ones you just did, but they want twice or 3 times the money because they're in the private sector. And so just thinking about how much would have to either change, or that it would have to change in order to deal with, I think it will, because I keep telling my two, I said, you and all the rest of your generation needs to get registered to vote and make sure you elect people who hear you, because right now nobody's hearing them.
Yeah, and I think bigger, of course, larger cities, they have higher income limits. So, we have a lower income limit here in Jacksonville because of, our census. But in larger cities, their income is higher. I know USDA, they go a little bit higher than my HUD income guideline. So,
But then the more you make, the more it takes. So you're
That's
on a
right.
treadmill dealing with that.
exactly
I
right.
mean, I've talked to them who have friends who live in New York, and
It's ridiculous.
when they told me that you've got 5 people sharing an apartment, and each one of them is coughing up $3 to $4 grand a month to live there.
I had talked to
5
somebody who was
people.
a professional,
That
so-called
just blows
professional.
my mind.
He was with roommates over in Hubert. So that's not just happening in New York,
Yes.
that's happening here,
That's right.
because it's so ridiculous.
That's right.
And just to kind of show, can you flip back a couple slides real quick so people can get like a visual of how much should your income be and how much you should be paying for rent? I think it's the next one, that formula. Is it that one? No, the one before that, this one here. Because even, people who are in middle class, they still don't get this formula right, what they should be paying and everything that calculates. And I believe we got a good process here of doing home buyers education classes, doing money management, and now the psychology of money. And all of those together, they build a good foundation. But remember, and this is more for our viewing audience and those that are in here, government programs are there to help. They're not to get you over. So it's a lot of stuff we have to do ourselves.
That's right.
With the education. We got to go above and beyond. We got to get with people with like-mindedness to help us and teach us. And this will be a good time for people to even start thinking about mentors again and coaches again. I mean, family who've done the process, go to them, ask the questions. People that you see that may be in your neighborhood. We still got a lot of wisdom in our community, so that's what we need to lean on also, on how you get to that next stage in life. So, but thank everyone for their comments on it. Yes, Doctor.
My question would be, with the units and the time that they're allotted in the shelter, that period in there, how would that work? And is there built-in, Councilman asked about case management, which I
Yes.
believe is.
That's exactly right. So they're gonna have a case management. They're not gonna just stay there for 3 years and say, okay, now it's time for you to leave. They're going to put them on a program to where they have to make sure that they reach these milestones, because they know when they go in there that they have to leave. So they gotta do whatever they need to do as far as that peer support, tell them to do, and then they need to meet that. Because like I said, they're gonna be moving out in about 3 years. So they're gonna have to have some money saved. They're gonna have to have a plan as far as some job training. They're gonna have to earn that money, they're gonna have to clean up some credit if that's what's gonna be the stumbling block for them. And they have to do all of that within 3 years.
So there is a program to do that because the
Yes.
shelter, because how long can you stay in the shelter around the corner?
I have no idea. I know
The
that
last
they,
I ever heard was 45 days.
it's 45 to 90 days, but people are staying longer. People are staying longer.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say, based on what I have always known of the shelters we had here, it was impossible for that to happen because
Yes,
you had to be out of their door within a month to a month and a
Right.
half.
but they're staying
And
longer.
we don't have transitional housing, something that larger cities do have, where you can spend 6 to 18 months,
Right.
building this foundation. So is there some type of an agreement or some type of a program that is actually underway?
Yes, they
that's
have,
happening?
a management, company on site that's going to make sure that they,
Is that Phoenix Park?
yes.
That will
Oh,
be our
over the Phoenix
program.
Park,
yes.
okay.
Right.
Phoenix Park, she was talking about earlier.
Yes.
And so that program, to clear it up, is not the 6 to 18 months. That program will be up to 36
The
months.
36 months. That's the standard with transitional housing. They may have a little bit less, or they may have a little bit more, but the standard is 36 months.
And would they have to come from homelessness?
Yes,
So then that's another barrier to someone who is functioning in the real world. But,
and see, that's the thing. I understand people, I don't wanna go through the homeless shelter, but that's where your assistance is at. You have to go through those shelters because they have access to ESG money, they have access to so many other pots of funding. So you have to go through that.
What is considered homelessness based on HUD guidelines?
HUD guidelines is you have no place to stay and that you're out. So you need to go into the homeless shelter to get sheltered.
And I ask that because there's different types of
Oh, yeah.
homelessness.
If you talking about people who live
Couch
with,
surf.
if they live on the couch, then they're not homeless, they have shelter.
because it was always confusing for us in like a Head Start programs and so forth, where when they did the point of contact or the point of,
One time.
when they count, they have that
Point in
Point in
time.
point in time day. And the standard answer was there were no homeless people in Jacksonville because they couldn't find them that day at that time. So they said we didn't have any kids. And I said, well, how is it that we have no homeless people in Jacksonville? But the school system is following 600 kids. How did that happen? It's because the definition is different for children than it is for.
They know
So
that
much
point of time
information
is,
from
and
school.
then, yeah.
They know.
So it really is a matter of trying to coordinate all of these opportunities and everything else and be able to communicate to people what it is they need to do to take advantage of whatever it is that's out here.
Yep.
Ms. Tracy.
So here we are again, around this time, we start talking about the annual action plan. But I wanted to bring to your attention, right now, we are getting ready to complete the consolidated annual performance evaluation report, the CAPER. So I'll be doing that for the month of September. And then when the CAPER is finished, because we need to report to HUD what we did last year, once we get that report completed, we're gonna start working on our 5-year annual action plan. And based on our funding level that we just received, we have potentially the capability of receiving $1.9 million over the next 5 years. We have to go out and ask for the community input to find out how we're going to spend that money. As you all know, I know that before I even ask that question to everybody, they're gonna say, we need some affordable housing. But what else do we need? So that's what we're going to be developing questions in a survey. We're gonna be going out to community leaders, asking people that sits on the council appointed boards to give us their input. We're gonna be asking department heads here within the city internally. And of course, we're gonna be asking the neighborhoods themselves about what kind of questions that we should have to make sure we get a holistic approach in gathering that information and really engaging the communities in our cities, okay? So the annual action plan, we're gonna start that process. We have 2 meetings that we have scheduled. They're neighborhood meetings. They just want us to come out and talk about our programs and activities that we have. So we're gonna be going to Evening View tomorrow at 7 p.m. and meeting with the Georgetown Preservation Society. And then we're going to be meeting at Washington Chapel Missionary Church on Belfort Road, and give them the same opportunities to talk about projects that we have and what's, coming down the pipeline as far as in their community.
You know what date that one is?
It's October the 5th, and I wanna say it's 7 p.m., but don't hold me to that, but I wanna say it's at 7 p.m.
And tomorrow it is at 7 p.m.
Tomorrow is at 7 p.m. So please, 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 Neighborhood Improvement Services Advisory Committee, join us
Put it out.
as we go out into the neighborhoods, because the neighborhoods are asking us, to provide information to them. So this is a good forum, but we also need to get into the communities, into the neighborhoods. We're also going to be continue working with our resiliency plan over the next 18 months. This is to address climate change and to make sure that this community has a plan in place so that when we have events, FEMA and other governmental funding agencies can already ask HUD, who has a resiliency plan to get the community back on its feet quickly, they can say that Jacksonville has a resiliency plan. I am told that it's going to be, those plans are going to decide on who get the money first when that money start coming through from federal to the states. So we want to be in the beginning of the awarding of those funds when if and when, God forbid, we have an event. I've already updated the citizen participation plan and it's listed on our website. Our fair housing plan is not due into next year, 2025, I think, 2025. That's when we'll update that. But we do have to develop a language access plan. A language access plan is saying how we engage the community based on the population of people that we have here. Like if we had a strong Hispanic population here, how are we engaging them? So how they're accessing all of our programs and our information. So, yes, sir.
I got a suggestion too. Maybe at times we need to invite the different organizations that actually cater to those different groups.
Yes, most definitely. We need to invite them to the table when as far as when we developing our citizen survey plan for our plans.
Do we have any residential hotels here? And I guess I'm thinking about in my head, where did people go when they left town center? Some people went on couches, on floors,
What's the name of
and
it?
extra
Triangle
bedrooms,
on someone's
stuff
couch.
like that.
Yeah, it's
But there are, I remember
Suburban.
being behind the school bus
Yeah.
that stopped over by
Home to home suites.
Checkers.
Home to suites.
Home to
Suburban.
suburban.
No, not over there.
Wait a minute, you
Try
talked
it.
about over, behind,
Over Checkers on 17.
You're talking about the motel,
That
Motel,
Motel
Thunderbird.
The Holiday Inn.
And
Thunderbirds.
Yeah, and the school bus stopped. And I wondered why, because I was right behind it.
Right.
And because there's no residential area that I was aware of in that community that a school bus would need to stop there. It stopped. And the kids all got out and people just appeared from like nowhere. And I'm watching as I'm going, where are they going? And then it occurred to me, I wonder if they're going to that hotel. And apparently they were.
There are a few of those around.
Yeah, I was just wondering, when you have, because it was
There's another.
very upsetting to me to think about that,
Triangle.
but that's what I was thinking. Well, I don't know about Triangle, Motel 6 is what I'm thinking about, that white one, it's back off the road. That's where all those parents emerged from to come get the kids who stepped off of the bus. But I'm just thinking about the the groups that we generally bring together are always the same ones,
We gotta
always
reach out,
the
get out,
same
yeah.
ones. And the people who need our help don't belong to those groups. So I'm trying to figure out how do we get our hands on them? Because as we discussed, I've learned a lot tonight about what might be available, but then the people I would think might need help with this, I don't know how to get to them. I don't know how to get my hands on where they are because they have become invisible. Which
And
is
I
what
don't know
happens
if
to you.
social services can help us because, you know, they may be, you know, connected with social services. But I will tell you that I think Crestfield Apartments, that's the second phase of Springfield Apartments, that's on Blue Creek School Road. One of their contacts emailed me and let me know that they're getting ready to start advertising, that they're ready to start taking applications for leases.
Oh, yeah, because it's going up so fast.
So,
I couldn't believe it.
That's soon to come. I'm making this announcement in this public forum right here, that they're going to be making applications, taking applications for those units over there off of Blue Creek School Road.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Those are the only ones that you can think of right now?
That's the only one that I can think of right now. What's coming down the pipeline is the development that's off of Gum Branch Road. About 40 units are gonna be coming off of Gum Branch Road.
Where on Gum Branch?
By the storage, right across the street from Ducks, almost.
Where's
Oh, that lot, that's
Oh.
right.
That lot.
Oh,
They're gonna be building it.
oh, where the storage is, sitting on that little
Yeah,
hill?
so they're looking to start building very soon.
Okay,
And would that be considered,
That's gonna be the
Okay,
affordable
got it.
housing, yes,
that'll be affordable housing there?
yes.
Is that 400?
It's about 40 units.
Somebody was saying something else too.
and I just had one quick question about one of the slides you put up. The one where you graphed up the rent that based upon,
Income,
I think it was, like
Yes.
the one bedroom was 780 something.
you're talking about the current market
Uh-huh.
here in Jacksonville, this right here.
These numbers right here. Are there places that rent for this?
For a one bedroom, yes,
There are,
but now they're not available.
because they're full.
They're full.
Okay.
So you won't find a one bedroom for $798 out there on the website, because there's none available.
Because that's what I was looking at when I saw those numbers. As shocking as they are to you, when you think about how much you have to pay to rent somebody's 4-bedroom at $1,620. That's like, why on earth would I do that if I
You
don't
probably
own it?
won't find those rents that matches the bedrooms.
Mhm. Because they've got 3 or 4 Marines or families that have income that are willing to live together and split that. Just like people lived in multi-generational homes last 100 years, or, back before the millennium turned over.
It's coming back to that.
I'm gonna say, multi-generational housing was the standard rather than the exception.
Right. So also wanted to talk about our CD projects. Currently, I am working with an investor that owns 4 units over there off of New River Drive. I finally completed the specs, and we're going to be taking this out for bid so that we can partner with him and provide some for affordable rental units. He is going to be working with Section 8 and putting these in the Section 8 inventory to, provide some affordable housing in New River. So that's what's next coming down the pipeline. And it's gonna be 4. So we talked about, before the meeting, what happened at the last meeting. We had Mr. Ray come in and talk about the effectiveness about what his vision is. Of course, it has to line up with council's vision. And he said that the effectiveness of advisory boards and commission must define our purpose to align with the council's vision, with NESAC's vision to align with council's vision. So with that, NESAC can align with council goal number 1, which is to develop strategies to improve the quality of life. We always talk about the quality of housing is the quality of life. Sustainability of the community. Of course, housing sustains communities. Enhance employment opportunities. That is economic development. And also economic mobility. Encourage economic development and protect the environment quality of Jacksonville. So what we sent to you is a worksheet so that you all can put your ideas so that we can gather those ideas and bring them back, and we can put in a strategy so that we can work together and try to achieve and accomplish one of our goals to align with council goals. So I would ask you to write down whatever you want to write down, what you think. Of course, affordable housing, everybody knows about that, but anything else other than affordable housing, if you can think about, what you can put in there, then gather that back to me by Wednesday. Email it, scan it, bring it back so that we can gather it together and then we can have a discussion. We were talking about maybe having a workshop meeting with this group so that we can all come back and discuss it and put it together and, present it back out to Mr. Ray.
Okay.
So that way we can have our goals set up, and then we can also do, make sure that we align with council's vision. Yes, ma'am.
Could I drop it off at the desk because
Sure
Corey's
can.
got jury duty?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I will have it for you.
Okay. So one city.
All right, this is our chance to highlight citizens who are doing a great job in Jacksonville. So we'll go around the room, and if you've seen somebody having one city, my city, our city moments, doing great things in our community to help build the camaraderie in our community, you can go ahead and do that now. Okay.
I think National Night Out was really a lot better this time because there was a lot of different things that the kids was out there, a lot of different groups that I hadn't seen before, even though we've been going to them all the time. And I think that the police department put it together very well, and that they were out there supportive, and the kids, and it was like a community. And that was what it was supposed to be, other than just having a band and what you call those food trucks. There were more things that the kids were walking around with bikes and backpacks. And every kid I asked, I said, "You want a bike?" "Yeah," and they won one last year. So he was happy he won 2 bikes. But the thing about it was, it was really nice and cool, because I was talking to Chief Yanero and he was saying, it's a good night to have it, and everything was really just, you couldn't have asked for a better night. So it was nice. That's what I want to say, that the community really came together for National Night Out. I'm pleased. I enjoyed it.
Anyone else?
I would just briefly report that our BEN program, our Bayshore Estates neighborhood project that began when the name of this organization was changed over to neighborhood, and it was our pilot. We were the pilot program for what the city was trying to do under the previous manager. So we're meeting quarterly. And our last meeting, we had the city manager there at the meeting and went over various issues. The biggest issue, it seemed to me, was I'm trying to, because we took some minutes, and probably what I should do is immediately forward them back here just so you can see what we're talking about, relative to what we're doing. The neighborhood is changing.
Okay.
It's probably the least expensive of some of the other neighborhoods to try to move into because, like I said, when we talk about starter homes, where else are they but where we are? because this is the oldest part of the city. And I noticed that people are doing that, and they're exhausted with trying to find anything out in these other developments because it's impossible for them to afford any of that on the average person's wages. And so houses are beginning to come available through debt to a great extent in the neighborhood because people have been living there for a very long time. Some of those folks came out of the Marine Corps retired years and years ago, and they're dying off and putting the house up. And the problem of inflation is hitting the same neighborhood and so on. But we are meeting, and I'm concerned about what's going on at Wilson Bay Park, but I said I'll wait for the next time
Yes, ma'am. So the pilot program is doing well?
Yeah, because we had to stop, for one thing, it was, the way it was created, we were very dependent upon the staff here to start us off and to continue on. And then COVID came, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
So we've decided to go on back and start meeting again and address some of the issues we have. So we're just moving on ahead and seeing where it goes.
I want to highlight the Georgetown Preservation Society. It's a fairly new organization, but having an interest in the neighborhood and getting the neighborhood to look presentable, I guess, and to help people, the elderly, and try to get some young people back into the community. So we have some healthy goals, and Georgetown is a historic area, so we want to bring that luster back to Georgetown.
Great.
I wanted to bring up, Boys and Girls Club had an event over at Sandy Run Apartments. For those that don't know, Boys and Girls Club actually have a club right there in Sandy Run. So, and they're doing a lot of great things. Of course, Morford Point Marine Association had their convention this past weekend. I wasn't able to attend, but I heard it was a great celebration as always. And there was a observance, I think, on Saturday night over at the Vietnam Monument.
For the Kabul,
Say again?
for the people who didn't survive that Kabul blast.
Yeah, Afghanistan, that's right.
I think
What was that? Because I had it in my calendar, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can remember.
We got Beirut coming.
Now, on the 19th of August, I want to send a one city moment to some citizens of Jacksonville, and not only Jacksonville, but the surrounding areas. Mount Carmel Helps gave a Lifetime Volunteer Achievement Medals, Presidential Lifetime Volunteer Achievement Medals, signed by President Biden to about 80 recipients for doing work not only in the city of Jacksonville, but Onslow County, but some of the surrounding counties. The event had about 1,000 people there, and it was a great event for those recipients. And I would just like to say to our viewing audience, volunteer, get involved in something, not for the medals, but for just self-purpose and to help someone else, be good neighbors and things like that. Because that's what our one city, our city, my city, plan was to do, being good neighbors, helping those who need help, not only when they, in times of need, but just be good citizens every day. So I'd like to thank Mount Carmel Helps, and I'd like to applaud all those 80 recipients for that Lifetime Presidential Achievement Medal. So, and thank you guys for your recognitions also. Thank you.
And you all were there.
Yes, ma'am.
And were recognized, he and his wife and some other people.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, so future topics, agenda topics, and we know we have the elections that we need to put on the future agenda.
I have one thing I'd like to throw, and I don't know, Council Jackson, you can tell me how to, when she was talking about Georgetown preservation and, trying to do some things over there. I don't know why it came back to me, but I'm very concerned and have been for a while about the fact that there is only one way in and one way out of Georgetown. That I can see. Which is Broadhurst Road. And I came down to Evening View one time and took a right turn because I I went somewhere and I just couldn't stay in, so I said, and I hadn't been around, and I turned right instead of coming back out and leaving. I just, and it dead ended. And I said, okay, and I did a lot of that around that area. And I concluded that, and maybe I'm wrong, because maybe somebody from the city can tell me otherwise, but it is, I can't even think of the word I want to use to describe what position that puts people in. When they know this, and I know they know it, because they've been living with it, that should a chemical spill or a major fire occur, you've got water behind you.
Yeah, it's
You don't
kinda
even
true.
have land to cross to get out of there.
Can you bring that up tomorrow night too?
Yes,
Talk about
And
it.
it is very disturbing that you can
we've
have
looked
people in
at
that
some,
situation.
I've looked at, Lily and I, we looked at some, possible ways to get in and out, and one of them, includes 17 coming around the board of elections and coming out that way and getting to 17. If you look at our area, there's a way to get around that area, but it's gonna take the neighborhood to do that, and it's gonna take some more planning to do that. But that's the only way that I could see to make sure that there's another road to get in and out of Georgetown.
So,
And the main boulevard would have to be 17. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
available one, because like I said, the water's right behind you.
Yeah, coming behind
But
like
the gym was
the
sitting right across the
DMV,
water.
that area
Yeah.
around the DMV and that.
Back
Oh,
behind
that way,
there.
okay.
But it's another way, right?
But I'm thinking
It's not
about,
like
no,
that.
I'm thinking about
Right,
away
but
from
it's-
when you go into Georgetown, past the Trog building, past Evening View. How do they get
Get
out?
out on the backside.
If they are, if the avenue where First Baptist is, if
Yeah.
that's blocked.
Yeah, they would have to come, they would have, because you have a cemetery there.
Right.
Right.
And so that cemetery is sitting right there in the middle of that neighborhood. So you would have to try to get around that cemetery to get to Erastus, to get to the 17.
So
So,
back.
yeah, to get out of
You
there.
might wanna bring an aerial photo if you can.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting, because
And would that
but that
just
just
get,
concerning.
what is it, streets
The Gordons.
involved?
Yeah,
in
it would be,
Yeah,
you know,
it would
planning
be-
and.
That'd be
and-
nice.
Just have them come in and,
Right.
you know, because we're trying to do it by just thought,
No,
but
that's
they
what
can
I'm
come
saying.
in and
Yeah,
just bring it
that's
and
But that's just something.
They
that
can
would
come
probably
in and
say
start
about-
drawing it.
Yeah.
So that's what we need.
That would be with streets, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I
That's
know,
what they do, so let's give it to them.
but it came up to me, I don't know
Let them draw
this,
up a plan, and then we'll take a petition and take it down.
but I think
More
it's
than one
important to
way.
bring it up, because I thought about,
Well, you gotta think about easements and all of that.
Oh,
other
yeah.
stuff.
There's a larger conversation.
but even
They
though
can
there
do
is,
that.
when I think about it,
There used to be a way when the trestle was there. You could
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
you could actually walk the trestle.
but I
Yes.
understood that when people are building, when people are doing developments, there has come a time when, my understanding is that you can't do cul-de-sacs anymore
okay.
when you build a development.
You can what?
You cannot do cul-de-sacs anymore.
Okay.
And the reason for that
And?
is obvious, that the people who are concerned about those people in those neighborhoods don't want to have them blocked from being able to get out of there if they have to. Not them or the fire department or the police department.
Alright.
So there was apparently enough energy and concern about certain areas of the city and people who are living there that you can no longer do that in a particular, you just can't build that way anymore. And it makes a lot of sense because it's a safety issue.
It does.
But you've got a neighborhood which has been here for generations. And when I went down there and I turned right down that road and I came to a dead end, and I thought to myself, if I couldn't get back up this road and get to 17, and I don't swim, then I've got a big problem.
Okay.
And so, and that conversation didn't happen that I knew of about safety and access and things like that, so
Yes, sir. So
I would
just
like to
put that
see
down
that.
as
I'll keep talking about that till.
as a future agenda topic. Now, the other thing, we have, I think it's midterm elections coming for some of the individuals in the If we can, just make known of maybe a future agenda item, where the polling stations are going to be, the actual dates, maybe get someone from the.
Well, I can share that with you, because
Okay,
we
we'll put it on the
already have
future.
our schedule, so
Yeah,
I
we'll
can
put it
send
on
to
the
you.
future agenda.
Well, you need it before then,
We'll need it before then, but also, so we can
so I
just
can
talk
send it
about
on to the city, because we've already decided on, there's only one polling station that's going to be for, Onslow County this time, and there are reasons for that, but beyond that, we already have our meeting schedule and our
Okay.
location, so I'll just, send it to them, and they can circulate it.
Now, would that election be before then?
The election is November the,
It'll be
Yeah,
after?
so we'll be in, early elections,
Okay.
and then the actual election is November
the
4th.
first
November
Tuesday
4th.
in November.
November 4th.
Yeah,
So-
we'll
Meet right before then. Yeah, that's
we'll meet
why.
before the general election.
So just put it on there so we can just make sure we're getting people in that mindset to go out
To go around
and
and vote
do
and
it
make
and
sure
know
we
where
get
it's
somebody.
at. And they have the right instructions, meaning what ID you need, those types of things. So
Yeah.
just real pinpointed, not a big thing, so, okay,
And the Board of Elections, we already have something that they have to prepare, we just came back from training,
okay.
so.
All right, so any questions or comments? Okay, no questions or comments?
So just wanted to make sure that you all look at our key dates. September 4th, City Hall is closed for Labor Day. We're gonna have Patriot Day observation on the 11th. On the 15th, we got the POW MIA observation, September 15th. September 16th, our next home buyer education class. Pam mentioned the nonprofit executive director meetup. October 7th, money management, and of course, October 23rd, the Beirut Memorial observance.
Okay.
Yep.
And our next meeting is going to be October 30th.
Which is a correction
said
on your
23rd.
agenda.
Okay, it's a correction, okay,
Yes.
On your agenda is the 30th, now that the minutes have been approved.
okay.
Okay.
Rather than 23rd, is that what?
We're meeting on the 30th.
No, I was saying,
happening on
my
the-
agenda says the 23rd, so I.
Right.
You said change it to
So
the
that's a
30th,
change.
right?
We have a training that's going to be happening during that
Okay.
time. We'll be out of town, so.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay. If there's nothing else, I'd like to adjourn this meeting.
I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Second, thank you. At this time, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you for your time and effort, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.